There is a warning sign inside Hendrick Motorsports. It is not a press release. It is not a shouting match. It is Rick Hendrick sitting down in a competition meeting and being the first one to talk. Dale Earnhardt Jr. spent a decade driving for this organization. His company, Junior Motorsports, remains a partner of HMS to this day. He just revealed what that moment truly means and why it may be happening right now. 4 cars, 1 dynasty, one of the greatest organizations in NASCAR history, and a 2026 season that looks nothing like what Hendrick Motorsports fans expect. So what is actually happening inside that building? And more importantly, can they fix it in time? Let's start with the numbers, because the numbers don't lie. Kyle Larson, the defending NASCAR Cup Series champion, is riding a 39-race winless streak, the longest of his HMS tenure. He entered 2026 on a 5-season streak of at least 3 wins per year. His most recent points race at Watkins Glen International ended with a 23rd place finish, marking a new low point. His average finish of 17.3 is his worst since 2015, sitting a series worst 8 positions below his average starting position. He ranks second in laps led, but the majority came at Bristol Motor Speedway, inflating a season that has otherwise lacked genuine front-running speed. Strip away stage points and Larson falls to 13th in the standings, just 22 points inside the top 16. RFK Racing's Ryan Preece, who has not finished higher than 8th all year, still ranks 5 positions higher than Larson in that category. The standings are propping up a performance level that simply is not there. William Byron won the 2025 regular season championship and reached the championship 4. Today he sits 12th in the standings, only 32 points above the cut line, with his average starting and finishing positions at their worst since 2020. Here is the statistic that stings most. William Byron has led fewer laps than Corey Heim, a driver who has made just 3 starts all year in a part-time, non-chartered Toyota for 2311 Racing. A full-time driver in elite equipment, outpaced in laps led by a part-timer. Read that again. Let it sink in. Alex Bowman missed 4 races due to a bout of vertigo. Even accounting for that absence, he has not been consistently competitive. His points per race average ranks only 28th in the series. If he had run every missed race at that same average, he would still sit 93 points below the cut line. He recently announced he will retire after the 2027 season, signing a 1-year extension to remain in the number 48. In his own words, "I'm at a point in my life where I'm super blessed to be in a position where I don't have to do this forever." Health concerns, vertigo, past concussions, a broken back, shaped that decision entirely. Chase Elliott is the one bright spot, but even his success carries an asterisk. He has 2 wins in 2026, earlier in the season than any of his first 10 years in the series. But his Martinsville victory came after he scored 0 stage points that day. Crew chief Alan Gustafson executed a brilliant 2-stop strategy in the final stage, while Denny Hamlin led 292 of 400 laps. Elliott himself said afterward, "I know we still have a lot of room for improvement, don't get me wrong." 2 wins. That is the highlight reel for a 4-car super team. The bigger picture is even more uncomfortable. Toyota is dominating with Tyler Reddick already holding 5 wins. Team Penske has passed HMS in victories. Trackhouse Racing and Spire Motorsports, HMS's own satellite partner, hold the same win total as the flagship organization. Carson Hocevar and Daniel Suarez sit 7th and 9th in the purely results-based standings. Spire Motorsports, a team with 1 total win over 6.5 years, could currently be considered the sport's top Chevrolet team. That is what the scoreboard says. And the scoreboard does not care about your history. The root cause starts with the race car itself. For 2026, Chevrolet introduced an updated Camaro ZL1, drawing on the road car's carbon performance package, featuring a larger hood power dome, revised front grille, and more pronounced rocker panels. Every Chevrolet team received these updates, but HMS is still struggling to adapt. Team President Jeff Andrews acknowledged it publicly. There is still a lot of work left to do. The core problem is balance. Cars fade on long runs as tires wear, and that is the difference between contending for 400 miles and falling backward once grip disappears. The last time Chevrolet introduced a new body was 2018, and that season produced the slowest start in recent HMS history. Only Chase Elliott won that year, with 3 victories total. Bowman did not win until 2019. Byron did not win until 2020. If 2026 follows the same script, the recovery could take far longer than one season. In November 2025, Rick Hendrick publicly said he was excited about the redesigned Chevrolet body. The thing he was excited about has become the thing his organization cannot solve. The irony isn't lost on anyone who has been paying attention. At Watkins Glen, Larson addressed the winless streak directly. I think you guys pay attention to it way more than I pay attention to it. We're working really hard. We're kind of searching how to be better, and sometimes maybe search too much and get off track a little bit. Crew Chief Cliff Daniels added, "We're very aware that we haven't won on a Sunday more than ever. Now we know that we can't get emotional, get sad. There are positive signs." Larson posted top 5 finishes in 5 of his last 6 races heading into Chicagoland Speedway, where he holds the best average finish in track history among multi-race starters at 6.17. He completed 2 days of testing there in April and had one of the fastest cars in Friday practice. Now here is where this story gets truly revealing. Dale Earnhardt Jr. drove for Rick Hendrick for an entire decade. His company still partners with HMS today. He knows the internal culture of that building better than almost anyone outside the shop. On the Dale Jr. Download podcast, he pulled back a curtain that fans almost never get to see behind. I've been with HMS when they sort of get into these ruts or these little phases. I'm not concerned because what happens is they'll have a competition meeting, which they'll have one this week. They'll have one every week. Rick Hendrick attends many of those meetings. Jeff Gordon, now serving as vice chairman, carries significant weight in that room as well. When results are not there, the tone transforms entirely. But man, when they're not doing what they want to be doing, those meetings will get really serious, and Rick would basically say to everybody in the room, "Y'all better freaking figure it out." Then came the defining line. It's pretty damn serious. Rick rarely ever gets stern, but when he does, it gets your attention because you don't see it often, and you know that he means fix it or else. There's going to be some consequences. And the warning sign itself. And when things weren't good enough, he was the first one to talk. When you go into the competition meeting and Rick talked first, you knew talking about last week's race wasn't the most important thing on the table that day. Not shouting, not threatening, just a man who almost never raises his voice, choosing this exact moment to speak first. And everyone in that room knows exactly what it means. What happens after that meeting ends is equally revealing. When everybody hears that, they're all tasked with finding solutions. They leave the room. They go off to their part of the business, and they dial up the freaking effort. The engine shop pursues more horsepower. Engineers dig deeper into setup data. The aero department searches for gains wherever possible. Dale Jr. described the culture that follows in vivid terms. Everybody wants to be the one that runs back to Rick with the token. "Look what I found. We worked hard and we got this." They want to go, "Hey, you said work. We worked. We found 3 horsepower. We're taking some badass stuff to the next race." This is not panic. This is structure. This is an organization using urgency as fuel instead of letting it become fear. And when everybody's doing that and everybody brings a little bit of something back to the table, you go to the racetrack and you see it. You see the results start happening. Dale Jr. also pointed to Jeff Gordon's growing influence. They'll figure it out, and they might figure it out this year. It might be next year. Whatever. But Jeff Gordon, when I think about his personality, I feel like he could be convincing as well. He finished the thought with one line that says everything. I wouldn't want to get on Jeff Gordon's bad side either. A 4-time Cup Series champion, now serving as vice chairman. His presence in that competition meeting carries the weight of a living legend. This approach is not theoretical. In 2025, HMS went through one of its toughest mid-season stretches in recent memory, and the doubts sounded exactly like the doubts you are hearing today. The organization responded by reshuffling personnel, reorganizing pit crews, and leaning on its depth to identify and address weaknesses. Kyle Larson and the number 5 team went on to win the NASCAR Cup Series championship at Phoenix Raceway, defeating two Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota drivers and his own teammate, William Byron, in the Championship 4. The number 9 team took home the Most Valuable Pit Crew award during those playoffs. Pit crew coach Jacob Claiborne summed up the organizational mindset after that championship. "We know we have the right athletes here. Now it's finding the right combination to make it work." This is not blind hope. This is a documented blueprint that worked 12 months ago. But 3 genuine risks remain. First, the diagnostic risk. This strategy only works if HMS has correctly identified what is actually wrong. Throwing more resources at the wrong problem will not fix anything. It will only burn time they do not have before the chase field locks in. Second, the human pressure risk. When an owner with Rick Hendrick's reputation walks in and sets that tone, it can light a fire. But it can also tighten shoulders. Crew chiefs and engineers, under extreme pressure, sometimes overcorrect, chasing paper solutions that damage the balance drivers spent months building. The line between urgency as fuel and pressure as paralysis is razor thin. Third, the 2026 chase format itself. NASCAR brought back the format used from 2004 to 2013. Top 16 drivers in points make the postseason, with the champion decided across the final 10 races. Winning now pays 55 points, but consistency across those 10 races decides everything. A team fighting balance issues for 400 miles is exposed by exactly this structure. Dale Jr. was direct about where each driver stands. On Byron, "I don't know that Byron is in a position to even worry about a championship this year. I think that they just need to get better." On Larson and Elliott, Chase and Larson, they are in a position to think championship. They just need to be careful over the next handful of weeks to not have that one bad race. He summarized the entire assignment in one sentence. They just don't need to have that one bad race. They need to get what they can get while the company's trying to find more speed. Just don't stub your toe. 2 paths now exist. In the best case, HMS does exactly what it did in 2025. The internal urgency that Rick Hendrick creates pushes the competition department into overdrive. They solve the balance issues with the new Chevrolet package, and Chase Elliott or Kyle Larson, or both, ride that momentum into a serious championship run. This entire storyline becomes another chapter in the HMS comeback legend. In the worst case, the adjustments come too late. The chase format is brutal and unforgiving. If these cars are still fighting balance issues once the playoff races begin, there may not be enough time left to fix it on the fly. A 4-car powerhouse could find itself watching the championship battle from the outside for the first time in years, and the 2026 season could mark the beginning of a longer rebuilding arc, similar to 2018 through 2020. The fan base is already split. One side is asking a fair question. If this is one of the most talented rosters in the garage, why does it look so ordinary right now? The other side is pointing to Phoenix 2025 and saying, "We have been here before, and we have the blueprint." Both sides have legitimate arguments. The answer will come in the next few weeks. Is Rick Hendrick's quiet pressure exactly what this organization needs to turn the season around? Or is this finally the year the cracks are too deep to patch in time? This channel is new and still growing, and every single view, like, and subscription genuinely helps. If this breakdown gave you real value and real perspective on what is happening inside one of NASCAR's greatest organizations, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing. The goal is to reach 2,000 subscribers, and your support makes that possible. If you want real breakdowns before anyone else in NASCAR media catches up, make sure you are subscribed, because next time, we are digging into the growing tension between Chevrolet and Hendrick Motorsports, and why some veterans believe the manufacturer itself is quietly robbing this team of Cup Series glory. You don't want to miss that one. Best case or worst case, drop your prediction in the comments below. And tell me, do you think Rick has already had that meeting? Or is it still coming?